So, if you were here last week or if you watched the replay, you know that we talked about how to get out of our heads. And hello, Sierra. Hi, Gail. Out of our heads and into our bodies through mindfulness. We just introduced that core concept and we went over this practice called GROW, GROW. And hi Janice, the grow, the G is first step, ground, right? We explored what is this idea of grounding. Grounding means earth, ground, floor, support, a sense of safety, this inner landscape of security and safety that you are cultivating yourself. If we're sitting to meditate and we're in a fear state, and you just decide then and there you're going to watch your breath, you might just perpetuate this state of sort of anxiety because your breath is really short. So before we even observe the breath, I strongly recommend you do that first step of grounding, of settling the energy. Okay, that R, just for review, I'm kind of rushing through. You can always go back and watch class 1. The R is relax, remembering that relaxation is a skill and we can go through different parts of the body and consciously relax. Which brings us to the O, which is really opening up to what's here for us in this present moment. And that includes, this is the hardest part, it includes the annoying sounds of construction that might be going on outside, the physical pain you might be bringing into the practice that day, the emotional heaviness. It's not about ignoring that and just pretending we're all Zen. It's about opening up, creating more space for that experience to be. And then W, it's the wonder, not wander, which we'll talk about today. Wonder, awe, curiosity. Can you replace all your judgments with curiosity? Can you question them? Can you question the quality of the thoughts and the judgments of the mind? Okay, so that's a little recap. Today, what we're going to be talking about, I already gave you a little hint, we're going to be talking about this study. A wandering mind is an unhappy mind. We'll also talk about the 7 attitudes of mindfulness. There are sometimes 9, but I'm going to talk about these primary 7 just for today. And then we'll talk about using the breath as a way to get out of our mind and ground down into the body, using our breath. And we'll practice, right? We'll spend about 10 minutes towards the end practicing. Okay, so let's go back to a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. So this study is actually, I think it's 10 years old now, maybe 9 years old, done by Harvard psychologists Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert. And they essentially came to the conclusion that when our minds wander, we have this negativity bias, and they often tend to focus on more negative, more unpleasant thoughts. And if left to our own devices, our mind will easily start ruminating and replaying those negative thoughts, and it becomes a negative thought pattern. So it becomes something that's so ingrained in our mind, and we just don't question it, we just believe it, and then we wonder why we're walking around feeling constantly stressed or anxious or have this belief that really isn't true and really isn't serving us. So our minds, they wander. And the practice of mindfulness is really about catching that wandering mind and grounding it. And in that grounded attention, setting the mind up for you are safe, you are steady, you can focus, and that non-judgmental awareness. So we're looking in, we're going to go into the attitudes of mindfulness in a moment, but this idea being that, okay, if our minds are always wandering, they're like a wild horse or a wild monkey that just, we think of it as it can't be tamed, but we can gently coax it with this mindfulness practice to come into the present, right? Because as we talked about last week, when our minds do wander, they tend to go to the past or to the future. And I'm not saying you shouldn't let your mind wander, it's natural, but the more that we have a regular practice, so maybe you have 5 minutes in the morning every day, that will just help the mind from wandering off right at the start of the day. It'll give you an opportunity to just come back into the moment and be a little more intentional with, do I want to choose that thought today? Or maybe I can choose another one. And when you really grasp that, it can get really, really fun and really, really freeing. And that brings me to working with attention in meditation. We have what we call anchor points. You may have heard that before, anchor points, which are basically like an anchor. Yeah, you've heard of anchor points. Like an anchor, they ground your attention. Yeah. And popular anchor points include the breath, because the breath is always here from the moment we are born to the moment that we die. We have our breath and it is free. And the anchor point is one of the most popular, the breath is one of the most popular anchor points in mindfulness meditation. But other anchor points would include, like we did last week, relaxing the body, bringing the attention into the body. Another anchor point might be a mantra that you repeat in your mind. Another anchor point could be sounds that you're listening to. And basically your mind's going to wander away, because it does. But the anchor is what you come right back to again and again and again. Okay, so today in our practice, we're going to talk about and work on using the breath as our anchor. And this is an interesting one to me, because I don't love watching my breath. I think that I can get pretty judgmental when my breath feels shallow, when it feels a little bit short and a little bit, I wish that, I want this really deep lower belly breath, but sometimes that's just not accessible. So it really is one of the more challenging anchor points for me, just to accept where the breath is. Now, you might find that the breath is your go-to anchor point and you love it, and it really gets you out of your head and into the body, because in yogic philosophy, the breath, pranayama, breath work, the breath is sort of the bridge of body and mind. So it is really one of the more accessible ways to connect body and mind, to drop out of the mind and into the body. So it's natural that for this series, we got to work with the breath, right? Cool. I'm going to talk about the attitudes of mindfulness before we go into our practice. And this is originally coined by John Kabat-Zinn. So very much mindfulness master teacher, made mindfulness really big here in the West. And I love coming back to these, and they all intertwine. So it's not like when you're meditating, you need to be like, okay, do I have this one and this one and this one? They all intertwine. So the first attitude of mindfulness, and if you have a pen and paper, this could be fun to write down if you're interested. The first one is beginner's mind. Beginner's mind. So looking at this moment like you've really never been here before, because we actually have never been in this moment before, but we like to act like we know exactly what's going to happen. And when you pause and have that beginner's mind and really look at the breath like it's the first time you're exploring the sensation of your inhale and exhale, without expectation, because if you don't know what's going to happen, you don't have expectations. So it's really dropping what it should look like, what it could look like, dropping the expectations, and cultivating this beginner's mind. And of course, all these attitudes of mindfulness, we can play with applying them into normal life, off the cushion, so to speak. Okay, so second one, and we've mentioned this already last week and today, second attitude of mindfulness is non-judgmental. So it's not that you're trying to completely rewire your brain to not be judgmental. We need judgment, right? To make good choices in life. It's about not judging the judgment that arises. So just noticing it without attaching to it. Like I really like to say, is replacing the judgment with curiosity, question it, right? Third one, attitude of mindfulness, is acceptance. What are you resisting about this moment that's causing you some inner pain or a little bit of a battle inside? What can you accept about this present moment? And that is something we'll explore with the breath. Can you just let the breath be exactly as it is? Acceptance. Okay. Next is letting go, or I like to say letting be. So letting go of the control, letting go of that, striving mode that we talked about last week, letting everything be, which is also in alignment with acceptance, but it's also this another level of letting go of the attachment, letting go of the attachment to the outcome. Yeah. And the fifth one is trust. When we work with the breath, trust that your breath, it knows where to travel. Your breath knows how to get there. Your body knows how to breathe. You don't have to control that process. Trusting that where you are right now is exactly where you need to be. Trusting the wisdom of your body when you just give it some time to sit in stillness and just be. Your body is a self-regulating mechanism. It's a self-healing organism. And when we give it time to rest and just be, it knows what to do. Yeah. And 6, patience, which also reminds me of trust, like letting things unfold in their own time. So let's take meditation practice, for instance. You come to sit in stillness, you close your eyes, you watch your breath, and right away you want your breath to be this deep, gorgeous, full inhale and big exhale with a sense of relaxation. We all want that, right? Give me a plus if you want that. if you're still here with me. But the practice is going to unfold in its own time, and we have to be patient with that. And maybe it'll take a few. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, maybe it'll take a few times of coming to the practice to untangle some of that tension, right? So patience is really, really huge. And I think where can we apply patience in our off the cushion in our normal life? Is there something you're forcing or trying to rush? And may applying patience help you in this moment? Usually, yes. Okay. So the last one, the seventh one, there are 9, but 7, non-striving, which we talked about last week. Tapping out of the striving mode and into the being mode, getting out of it's sort of non-striving is also non-doing. So we're not here to, in the practice that we're going to be in, I was going to say the practice that we're going to do, the practice that we're going to be in, we'll apply all these 7 aspects, attitudes of mindfulness just to the breath. And like I said, they're interlinked. when you're practicing acceptance, you're naturally letting things be, and that encourages non-striving, and then that will might inspire a sense of patience and trust. They all do intermingle, but we'll sort of layer them as we go through the breath practice today. Wonderful. Yeah, and observing the why do we observe the breath? Observing the breath helps cultivate this witness mind where we can sort of step back from our experience and observe the breath and watch it as it comes in and it goes out without needing to control. And the more that we cultivate this witness mind, then we're going out in our normal lives and we have that witness mind noticing our thought patterns and noticing, oh my gosh, how often am I telling myself this really untrue, hurtful thing about myself? And can I question that? Can I see this differently? It just gives you, the more that we have the witness mind, it gives you more choice. It gives you your personal power back. So yes, it might seem boring watching our breath for 10 minutes, but there is a larger purpose here. Okay. We're going to practice, and then I have a few more words, and then we can ask some questions. Does that sound good? Wonderful. So just look at my notes, make sure I'm not missing anything wildly important for you. Oh, okay. Got something for after. Wonderful. So I'm going to have you do this practice in any way that's comfortable for you. You might be seated. You might want to lie down. If you're listening to this on the go, then maybe just see if you can carve out a little time just to bring the attention inwards. And make sure that your body's physically comfortable, because when our body is uncomfortable, it's quite the distraction for the mind. So just wiggle or roll the shoulders a couple times. And it can be enjoyable to close down the eyes. That can help this process of watching the breath, but only if that feels safe and comfortable to you. And the first thing that we're going to do is cultivate that sense of inner stability, inner safety as we ground down. And we ground down by feeling, where is your body supported right now? Bring the attention out of the mind, drop it into the body, and specifically where your body is supported right now. You might even enjoy sort of visualizing roots growing down into the earth soil that's beneath you, connecting you. And let's take a few longer exhalations here. So just easy inhale. You don't need to force that breath in, just easy inhale. And then a big exhale, maybe out the mouth. I'll give you a bit of time just to explore the feeling of that exhale. Yeah, you might find that with your exhale, there's an opportunity to relax in the shoulders a little bit. Relax any holding, any doing. Really nice. Now let your lips softly seal. There can be a little bit of space from the top row of teeth to the bottom row of teeth. And allow the breath to come in and out of your nostrils naturally. Remembering that your breath knows where to travel and how to get there, and we can just observe movement of the breath. Notice if you're wanting the breath to be a certain way or feel a certain way, and can you drop that and let it be exactly as it is? Let's find your specific anchor point. So you might be feeling the breath most clearly at the nostrils. You may be sensing the breath in the chest. You may be feeling the movement of your belly as you breathe, or maybe there's some other way that you feel the breath coming in and out of your body. I want you to locate that very specific anchor point and to rest your attention there. Your mind has probably already moved away from the breath. That's okay, bring it back. And what you'll do is take one hand on the heart and the other hand on top of that, and just breathe into the support of your own hands. Deeper inhale and longer exhale. When you're ready, you can release the hands down and flutter open your eyes, coming back into our little webinar room. Awesome. And so if you're wanting, I'm going to do a whole podcast episode on this for next week, on the morning ritual. If you're wanting to have a more of a formal practice in your life and you want to do it on your own, not guided meditation, then that practice we just did, you could guide yourself. You could set a timer for 5 minutes. You could set a timer for 10 minutes. And you can use the breath as an anchor point. And each time you catch your mind wandering, you just bring it back to the breath. And if you want to help yourself and make this a more regular practice, then you should just define when exactly you want to do this. So if it's like 6 a.m. before anyone in your household gets up, or right before bed, how long you want to practice. Is it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes? And where. And if you have those in order, then you just show up and you just be. You don't have to overthink it. Okay? Awesome. So we have a few minutes left for questions, and I'm so pleased that we have such a gorgeous group here. Thank you for tuning in live, and thank you to those watching the recording. There's 2 more in this series, this Into the Body series. So this was class 2. We have 2 more the next 2 Wednesdays. So yeah, any questions or comments or anything you might want a little clarity on that I mentioned? I might not have the answer, but I could probably point you in a good direction. Thank you, Marissa. TD, morning ritual. Oh, that's so sweet. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you found it. And I didn't set up the offer like I did last week. I'll send you this in an email, though, all of you. I've just started a Substack. Interesting. Yeah. Let me answer. Just found started a Substack. I'm trying to build that community up, and as I'm still learning how to use it, honestly. But if you're at all interested, become a free subscriber, and then you can always upgrade to paid. But I'm going to send you guys a 30-day free trial for the paid, anyways. So look out for that in your emails. But I think we got a couple questions there. So I appreciate you mentioning that the breath can be challenging. I find the same thing. Yeah. Tears and yawns. Yeah. Yes, there. I invite all the tears and yawns in. It's your body, it's your body's wisdom. It's exactly your body knows what it needs. It needs a release, and you got to let it. It's like when a dog is. I always use this example. It's so embarrassing because I'm obsessed with my dog. But when a dog is like fearful, and then it just gives it a shake, and then it's fine. So it's like your body is like. It's a wonderful way to release. Yawning is a beautiful way to connect to the breath and loosen stuff up. So it is really, really common. And also, when we bring our attention inwards and we notice the state of our mind and our body, when we're actually giving ourselves that gift of attention, that is usually when your body will autocorrect. It's when we're in go, go, go mode, not listening to the body, that we're not yawning and letting all this natural stuff happen. So it makes sense that when you carve out the time to just let your body do what it does best, that it's going to happen in that moment. And you have to tell me if it's Kari or Carrie, but you can tell me that in a text, in a message. I don't want to say your name wrong, but I see you. Where did the 7-9 meditation principles come from? Then that's John Kabat-Zinn. John Kabat-Zinn, mindfulness-based stress reduction. So the other two are gratitude and generosity. So they're beautiful. I feel like there could be many more, but gratitude and generosity are the other two that I didn't get into today. I love my chair. And you know what? I don't know where this is from, Gail. This was just in this apartment when I moved in, and I love it. It's just an office chair. The last two principles. Oh, Alyssa. Yeah. Gratitude and generosity. The second, Carrie. Is that right? Awesome. It's probably IKEA. Cool. All right. Well, I appreciate all of you. Thank you for joining in, and have a wonderful, Carrie, have a wonderful rest of your day. And hopefully I'll get to see all of you guys next Wednesday as well. And in the meantime, we can connect on Instagram, Substack. You've got my contact. So any other questions, just let me know. Okay. All righty. Bye, everyone. Thank you.